Welcome to another video in which we will talk about what is a questionnaire in research and what are the different parts of a questionnaire, and then what are the different types of the questionnaire that we use for our data collection. Then we will also talk about how to format your questionnaire so it should look good to the respondent. So first of all, a questionnaire or an instrument is a tool with which you collect your data. This data then you use for your data analysis to sometimes describe certain results or sometimes for the hypothesis testing. So first of all, what does questionnaire look like? So it is something like this. So this is one sample of a questionnaire. You usually have a logo of your university or of your organization. Then you have the name of your organization or the university. Then you have the department name, and then you give the title of your research. Then you can also tell the main aim, and then you assure your respondents for the data secrecy and the rest of the things. And then you also take the consent. You can stop the video and see what has been written in this first page. Then you also give your own name. If you're a student or you're a researcher, you give your name and preferably your phone number and your email address. And if there's any supervisor involved, you can also give his or her details. Then it is good to give these definitions of your research, because people who are filling these questionnaires might not be familiar with the exact meaning of those things that you're using for data collection. So it is good to give the definitions of your variables so respondent can read it, and then they can formally give you data. Then questionnaire looks like this kind of thing. It has part 1, which is your demographic data collection part. So what you can do is you can ask about their gender, and then you can give them options, their experiences, educational level, age, location of their organization, maybe some other questions that are related to your research. And then you have a second section which is related to the main items of the variables. What are the items? These statements are the items of your variable. So how are we measuring our variable? For example, this is bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is being measured with these items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. And then you're using this Likert scale for which the key has been given on top. So 1 is strongly disagree, 2 is disagree, neutral, agree, and strongly agree. International standards say that you should start from strongly disagree as 1. And as you move towards 5, it will become strongly agree. You can also use a 7-point Likert scale, or some people use a 3-point Likert scale, but 5 is reasonably fine. Then you also give the reference from where you have taken this scale or these items. Again, for the next variable, you'll give the headings, and then you'll ask the statements for data collection, and then next variable, and then next variable. And at the end, you might thank that respondent for filling this questionnaire. So this is what your questionnaire look like, and you should format your question like this. Now, what is the difference between the adapted, adopted, and developed questionnaire? So we have seen the 2 parts in our questionnaire. First is the demographic part through which you collect data, and then you have the second part which is related to the items or the statements related to the variables of your thesis or of your research. It should be concise, which means that it should not go up to many pages, because then people, when look at your questionnaire, they will feel that it will take a lot of time to fill it. So try and make it as short as possible, but at the same time, it should be clear to people, and there should be no compromise on the quality or other things. Now, what is the difference between the adopted, adapted, and developed questionnaire? We usually take these instruments or these items for the questionnaire from some previous researchers. For example, for basic sciences, we use these kind of instruments to measure, let's say, temperature, to measure length, to measure small lengths, and to measure other things. So these are the instruments which have already been developed by other people. What you do is you just borrow them and use them for your data collection. The same is done with the social science research or management science research, that you take instruments or the items from other people. Now the difference is that if you're taking the same items in the same sense and you do not make any change in them and you want to use them in your research for data collection, that is going to be your adopted questionnaire or adopted scale, which means taking the items from previous research without making any changes. So if you are not making any changes, you're just taking those items from someone and using them for your data collection, it will be known as adopted items or adopted scale or adopted instrument or adopted questionnaire. But sometimes when you're using those items in your context, for example, if the study was conducted in, let's say, China, and you want to conduct it in India, Pakistan, or America, the context might be different. So what you do is sometimes you take those items, but then after taking those items, you make slight changes in them. Maybe you change a little bit of their language without changing its meaning. Maybe you change a few words. Maybe you skip 1 or 2 items from that scale. For example, the researcher was using 8 items and you are using 4 items out of that. Or you might be adding one of the items in that scale. So if you do that, that is an adapted question, adapted questionnaire, adapted instrument, or adapted items. For this, you sometimes use some kind of process that you talk to some people that can we remove this item, or sometimes you, if you're adding some item, you also talk to some experts that how to do it best. But sometimes you do not find the scale for your exact variable. So what you do is you develop it. Now, development of the scale is itself a cumbersome process. It's a long procedure. You have to follow certain steps, but eventually when you develop it, that will be known as your own developed scale. So this is how we differentiate between the adopted, adapted, and developed scales. Thank you very much.